Hello, my needle drops. Anthony Fantano here, the most tiredest music nerd, but not too tired to review some thrash metal. Vektor, Outer Isolation. This is the latest album from this Phoenix metal outfit. The last time we heard from them was when they dropped the album Black Future in 2009. It was exactly 2 years ago this month, actually, and that LP created quite a stir in the metal community. Just such an intense blend of thrash metal and black metal, too, with all these spacey themes working themselves into the lyrics, and all of that, of course, is backed up with loads of technical ability and innovation. Definitely not an easy album to follow up, and a prime example that sometimes artists are more in competition with their own material than they are with other bands. So I'm really happy to say that this album comes with some very noticeable changes. But for the most part, Vektor has written a series of tunes in their usual style without repeating themselves all that much, surprisingly. If anything, this record just kind of continues to define Vektor's style as a hyper-melodic, super dynamic, intergalactic space thrash band. Now, one of my few issues with Black Future is that it could have used more variety, and that definitely gets addressed on this album. Of course, there are just intense riffs and tempos on this record. Sometimes the drum fills and the busy leads just kind of come together and hit speeds that would make me wonder if my record player were broken, assuming I was playing this on vinyl. But you know, that's one of Vektor's calling cards to begin with. What makes this LP sort of different to me is the increase of slower and more melodic passages on here. The softer and slower spots on here definitely have more focus, they have more purpose, they're just not introducing things and allowing songs to have kind of a clean exit. The softer spots are kind of starting to steal the show for me. Like the really drony atmospheric introduction to the title track, that was a nice fresh sound for this band. Or the sudden loss in speed on the track TETRASTRUCTURAL Minds, which, man, it's just so beautiful. It's like everything just goes slow motion after going the speed of light for almost an eternity, and it's like watching the Death Star blow up for the first time. Kind of beautiful, destructive, and poetic all at once. That moment's just really stunningly beautiful to me, along with others. I love the clean, glistening arpeggios. For me, even the faster and more intense moments on this LP are coming off a little more melodic. Vektor's always managed to work leads into their songs really well, but I feel like they are layering a bit more this time around, making things just really harmonious. You know, these little me guitar phrases that pop up here and there. The way that Vektor is now stacking them on top of each other, it kind of reminds me of listening to video game music. Halfway into the title track on here, I kind of feel like I'm listening to the theme song from Mega Man 2's Airman level. And some of the sinister and romantic chord progressions on Venus Project have kind of a Castlevania vibe to them. Overall, I just don't feel as pummeled or punished by this album. I've got breathing room this time around, and for some reason I'm not really catching the strong black metal influences and sounds that I heard on Black Future. Vektor's always had much more going for them than a blend of different styles. They are unbelievably tight, but also showcase a lot of finesse as they transition from one speed to another, one volume and sonic texture to the next. And on some of the tunes here, they showcase some extremely impressive syncopation, which was one of the highlights for me from that new Liturgy record, Aesthetica. Now, for anybody who is new to this band, I will kind of warn you, frontman David DeSanto does have one of the most unique voices I've heard in metal, bar none. It's kind of like a black metal wretch, but there's a much higher pitch to it in general, and there's so much more rasp going on there in the throat. The high-pitched banshee calls that were all over Black Future are in full throttle on this LP. They really do pop up more. And also efforts are made to change up vocal styles too, with some narrations, some lower growls, some clean vocals here and there. I was extremely impressed and satisfied with this record. I wouldn't call this a disappointment not by a long shot. I would say one of the major negatives to this LP, though, is that there are some moments on here that kind of sound a little too much like Black Future for their own good. That's difficult to do when you're still mining for new songs from your old material. Outer Isolation actually uses tracks from the band's self-released CD that came out before Black Future 3, to be exact, which isn't anything completely new since Black Future did the same. And the remakes are great. Those songs do finally get the production quality they need to really pack the punch they were intended to. But I was hoping this band's inherent ambition would cause them to kind of make a greater leap forward with this record stylistically, I guess. Still, this record and the previous one are enough for me to say to you that this band, in my opinion, is the most standout group in modern thrash metal. Sure, obvious comparisons can be made to past greats like Voivod, for example, but what I love so much about Vektor is that they sound new. They make thrash metal sound new to me all over again. And with all the science fiction themes, the strong musicianship, and clear differences between consistently good songs, all of those things add up to, for me, one of the best metal releases of this year. Feeling a strong 8 to a light 9 on this album, but what do you think of this record? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Why? And what should I review next? Anthony Fantano, Vektor, Outer Isolation. Forever.